shadow of death, and I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all.
Hey, what's up guys? You're watching Wayfinder. My name is Rocky. Today's topic we're going to be talking about don't rush, take your time. Because all things of value require time to grow and require time to become the best version of itself. This carries on from yesterday's topic on the video was called When Life Says You're Not Good Enough. The card is above if you haven't watched it. It takes time, you know. You cannot sacrifice quality for speed. It's kind of like sex, right? It's a bad example, but it's kind of like sex. If you rush, you sacrifice the quality of the duration of the pleasure, and you sacrifice the other person's pleasure as well. So it's kind of like in your life. For you young dudes, I understand that you want to get money as fast as possible. You see these things like I've read up on a couple weeks ago about this FTX and the crypto sphere. I invested in crypto and I stopped day trading because life was busy. So what I did was I put crypto in this bank called Celsius. And many of you know that Celsius went bankrupt. So I pretty much lost all my crypto investments there. Now with FTX, now with everything coming out, you know, when life gets hard, when life gets tough, that's when, you know, the truth will prevail in the end. So those who really had a good intention will be revealed to have good intentions, and those who had bad intentions, despite them pretending to have good intentions, will reveal itself. And also, like, a lot of times this greed, you know, a lot of people are prepared to sacrifice others' lives for their own gain. And they rush things. It's kind of like in China. You see these earthquakes happen and all of a sudden like buildings start collapsing. The buildings with people inside start collapsing. Because they just wanted to get the project over and done with. Maybe they got the lousy contractors. They didn't want to spend for the right materials. They filled the building with bullshit. So when the earthquake came, the building collapsed. They rushed. And when you rush, you sacrifice quality. You have to build the best version of yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Build that person so that you can offer that person to the world. Because if you are a high value man and you give yourself to other people, you give higher value. The higher value you are, the higher value you can give. So don't rush. Because like the case with the China and the earthquakes, Mother Nature and the universe is the great equalizer, I believe. Because when these earthquakes happen, earthquakes will shake the world and only what is strong remains. The strong buildings will stay and the weak things will fall. So life is the same. There will be times in your life where you will be shaken so much in a major way. Your beliefs will be shaken, the economy crashes, whatever. Everything will be shaken in front of your eyes. It's a bad thing, yes, but the good thing here, the light at the end of the tunnel, is that you can see, finally, what is strong, what remains. You let go of what is useless, and you come out stronger in the end. You rebuild yourself. It's kind of like the earthquake that happened in 1755 here in Portugal, in Lisbon. What happened was on All Saints' Day, everyone was praying in their house or whatever, and they lit up candles. There was a major earthquake. The candles fell and pretty much a lot of Lisbon burned. Not only that, but there was an earthquake followed by a tsunami. So not only was Lisbon on fire, but a tsunami washed everything and destroyed whatever was in front of the coast. But there was a guy, Marquês de Pombal, that out of that destruction, he rebuilt Lisbon in a way that was stronger. The city was constructed in such a way that the waters, if there was a tsunami ever to happen again, the waters would just go in. It's like a tunnel, go to the end, and because it's kind of inclined, it will go then out to the sea, preventing the same thing from ever happening again. Sometimes it's like that in your life. Life will shake you so much that you start to realize like, okay, these are my weak spots. And this is where I can, even if no matter how destructive it can be, you can understand how you can rebuild yourself. But then again, it takes time. Why? Because in this case, with the life shaking you, do you want to be shaken every day? Of course not, right? You'll burn out. So life is kind And most probably for most people, I understand some of you guys out there, you live life very arduously on a day-to-day basis, but life will shake us in a major way, either once a month, once a year, or once probably every 5 years for those of you who are lucky. So because it takes time for the intervals of life to shake you and for you to realize what serves you and what does not serve you, it will take time. For example, even Jesus Christ himself was no different. A lot of you guys on this channel are Christian, and Jesus Christ, well, you know that he only started his ministry when he was 30. So a lot of people in the Bible, it never really discussed what he did from 12 years old to 30. What was he doing? Because 30 was like the minimum age at which men could become ministers or rabbis. So because that was a requirement, he could have snapped his finger one day and then transformed himself into become 30. Why didn't he do that, right? He wanted to spend time with the people. He wanted to learn more about the people that he would minister to, what they needed, what their day-to-day life was. He wanted to relate to them in a way that he could give messages like the parables that he eventually gave later on when he started his ministry, in a way that was relatable to the people. They could understand him more. And he would never have been able to do that if he just snapped his finger and then became 30 and then started his ministry from then on. Maybe the way that he would speak would be in such a heavenly, esoteric way that nobody would even understand what he's saying. If you take away the snapping of the finger, how come Jesus, in all his knowledge and everything, how come he did not start his ministry when he was 20, 25, 26? He chose to wait until 30. Because sometimes, you know, the physical aspect, it's the physical maturity. Sometimes people don't take you seriously if you don't look older. And I've had this so many times in my life. When I was a supervisor, I was very young, I was 21. And sometimes people would think that the guy I am supervising was the supervisor, and they would not take me seriously until it took time for them to understand, like through circumstances. They would ask a question looking at the guy beside me, and I'm like, and I was the one who gave the answer. And they're realizing like, oh, okay, this one's the one in charge. He's the one who calls the shots, not the other guy. So maybe sometimes for you guys, you'll need time to grow. Not only mentally, not only emotionally, not only whatever, but physically as well, for people to take you seriously. Because if I started my YouTube journey and I started speaking like this when I was 20 or 19, I looked super young. And that's kind of a weird thing with Asians, like a bit of a disadvantage in this aspect, because we age quite slowly on a physical and a facial way. So people think that we're younger than we actually are. And so we're not taken as seriously as someone who is the same age but of a different ethnicity. So the good thing is we do age slower, so in our 60s and 70s when everyone else looks kind of old, we're still looking young. But you can take it as you want, but you know, with every yin there is a yang, right? Both, they're two sides of the same coin here. But anyway, coming back to the story of Jesus Christ, the thing here that you can also apply to your life is that perhaps even if Jesus was ready, even if he was prepared, he waited for that time for God to tell him, okay, you can start, because maybe the variables required for things to happen, for things to take place, were not yet ready a year ago before he started, or 5 years ago before he started. For example, the disciples that he chose, Peter, James, John, all of these guys, they needed to be of age as well. If he started when he was 25, maybe Peter and whatever, they would have been a bit younger. They would not have the mental maturity to undertake discipleship. So it's not only sometimes about you. Sometimes life requires you to wait because it's putting in place the variables that will make you successful one day. Even like with Jesus. The disciples, maybe even Judas, the guy who betrayed him, needed to be of a certain age where he understood what greed was, what money was, and he needed to be of a certain age where greed would be able to kind of tempt him, to be a big temptation to him. Because if Judas were younger, and maybe he was living in his mama's house, he would not necessarily care about the gold, he would not necessarily care about the silver, because he knew that maybe his mom was taking care of him. But because he was out in the world, he wanted to have his own stuff. Greed was able to tempt him. So sometimes it's the same. You need that variable to take place. As I said in this case, you already grow to a certain point, you're prepared, you're ready, but life says, hold your horses. It's kind of like a race. Everyone has to line up first. They say, okay, take your mark, and then they shoot the gun, and then you run. No matter how much you're ready, you cannot like jump before the gun and start racing. No, all the competitors have to be in place to go down at the same time for the event to actually take place, right? There's that saying like, all good things come to those who wait. It's true to a certain aspect, but of course it's not just waiting and just like being lazy. It's not waiting and slacking, but preparing for any opportunity to come. You gotta put your heart and 100% of your effort into your daily life. That's why Jesus always said in the Bible, be vigilant, be prepared, don't slack. The lazy people will inherit nothing in this world. Because who knows? Maybe the opportunity that life wants to give you is gonna come tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it's gonna come a week from now, maybe a month from now. If you feel like your life is not giving you the time of day now, everything has a season. There's winter, there is fall, there is summer, there is spring. The flowers don't bloom all the time. They have a season, and there will be a time for you as well. But just make sure that when the time comes for you to shine, that you actually shine, right? Be prepared, be vigilant, and be patient with yourself.